Hi, I'm so glad you've joined me today. This is Dr. Stevens with Integrative Health Haven, and this is my first of my multi part series talking about toxic load and how to improve your overall wellness. Okay, so toxic load, I want to break this down into basically two categories. So there's internal toxins and then external toxins. So external toxins has a lot to do with our environment. So this is like the air quality, this is our water quality, this is our food quality. Do we have preservatives, additives, dyes? Kind of what are we eating? This can also be medications that we're taking, and anything that we're ingesting and how clean or unclean that is. And then internal toxins is going to refer to basically the state of the inside of the body. So, is there an overburden of yeast? Is there extra bad bacteria? Is there does your liver have enough material like glutathione to detoxify the body? So is there, are toxins building up? And another reason we can see this is based on our detox routes and how those are working. Okay, so first I want to talk about external toxins and how you can improve this just simply by eliminating things or by changing your environment. So, first off, carpet is one of the nastiest, I'll say, things that contributes to poor air quality. There have been a lot of studies done on this, but some people think that, and research kind of supports this, but some people say that carpet is 2 to 5 times and maybe even up to 100 times the air the air in a home with carpet is 2 to 5 times, if not maybe 100 times dirtier than air outside. Basically, that's because carpet can hang on to everything. Chemicals that you clean with, dirt that you bring in, bacteria that you bring in on your shoes, things that you're spraying in the air, fragrances, they can harbor mold because if they get wet, it's very, very difficult to get them dry. And then mold can grow within 24 to 48 hours. So, number one thing for changing your environment would be to get rid of carpet. Changing your carpet, I mean, in the short term, yeah, it's going to help if you have like really gross old carpet, but in the long run, it's not going to maintain good air quality. So, do an alternative, use wood floors, do tile, anything that you can basically spill something wet and just clean it up, and that's not going to hold on to a bunch of chemicals and dust and bacteria. Another thing you can do to improve your environment is to use some kind of air purifying machine. The Air Doctor is one that a lot of people use, and there's some pretty good research behind that. So that's another thing that can clean the air. So if you can't get rid of the carpet, at least get yourself a Air Doctor or some kind of air purifying system. Another thing you can do to alter your environment and therefore improve your toxic load is to get a clean water source. So one of the best things that you can do, because this fixes the whole house system, is reverse osmosis. You can get a system installed. This is decently expensive. So if you're on a budget, this is not going to be your best option. But if you can afford to splurge on this, getting your whole house a reverse osmosis system, it fixes your bath water, it fixes your sink water. Anywhere that you have water, it literally is fixed. And what's the problem with drinking water, you might say, because I thought city water was supposed to be clean. Well, unfortunately, that's not the case. You can buy water test kits, but city water can be contaminated with pharmaceuticals, with bacteria, with heavy metals. And all of these things can have a detrimental impact on your health and your toxic load. So an option, if you can't afford reverse osmosis, is to get some kind of water purification system. Some people get like the Brita or something, but then you have the issue of having it in plastic. So your ideal solution is a glass or stainless steel reservoir, and then something that has, good research behind the filtration system. The Berkey is one system that's fairly inexpensive. You fill it up from your tap water. You have to buy the filters every so often. There's a separate fluoride filter, but this is something that you can fill up right at the sink, and it's relatively cheap. You can find them for $300 to $500, and sometimes you can find some used ones for even cheaper. These you do have to make sure it's a certified Berkey dealer, so look for their emblem on the bottom of the website, but there's several websites that sell these. And then, of course, you can just get the water test kits, and then, whatever you're using, you can test it before filtering and after and see if it's actually improving your water quality. Another thing that you can do to change your environment is to change what you are eating. So this kind of works on two ways because it also helps internal toxic load, but basically eating organic is going to lessen your pesticide exposure. Eating something that's non-GMO is going to help because GMOs are genetically modified, so they're changed. So that a lot of times the protein structures or the chemical composition of the food, the structure of the different elements is changed. And the reason that they've changed food and made GMOs is, one, because they can make more money. So they genetically modify fruit and produce, as well as a lot of other things, so that the fruit produces more. They produce bigger fruit, therefore they can sell it for more, and they can sell more quantity with less money invested on their end. So really, it's not helping the consumer, it's helping their product to be more resilient to different things. And part of this is that they're genetically modifying produce, crops and different things to be resilient to pesticides. But why would you want to ingest something that's doused in pesticides? Okay, it was hardy and it could grow through the pesticides, but you're still ingesting those pesticides. Okay. Other things you can do to improve your environmental toxic load is to look for clean source cosmetics. There's a lot of research on this. The Good Face project, there's an app for that. There's another app called Think Dirty that you can type in different cosmetics and see if there's hormone disruptors, if there's allergens, irritants, and find good clean options. And then as far as internal toxin load, you're going to want to look at things such as, again, what you're eating, what you're putting in your body. So processed foods, dyes, preservatives, additives, these all carry a toxic load that your liver has to detoxify you from. So when you're eating non-organic and having tons of pesticides on your food, when you're eating things that are dyed, so anything that is colored, unless it tells you that it does not contain dyes, anything that is colored unnaturally has dye in it. So think about frosting, think about M&Ms, candies, think about colored drinks, juices, anything that is colored, unless it is literally the color that it was made, like a strawberry is red, it probably has dye in it. And dye is a neurotoxin. Okay, so you don't want to ingest dyes. Anything that has additives in it. So again, a lot of the processed foods, in order to preserve them, they put in chemicals. Even things that don't sound that bad, like potassium sorbate, literally a chemical. Okay, there are tons of these. It can be overwhelming, but start doing some research, start reading your labels. And if you don't know what an ingredient is, look it up. In general, one of the easiest things to do to lessen your toxic load is to, when you buy something that is, processed, or it's at the grocery store and it has multiple ingredients, look for products that have less ingredients. Less ingredients typically means less chemicals and less toxic load. So I'll give you an example. If you go to Costco and you look at the Costco Organic Valencia peanut butter, literally the only ingredients are organic peanuts and salt. If you look then at your Jif peanut butter, there's a list of like 5 or 6 ingredients. And this has hydrogenated vegetable oil in it, as well as sugar. Okay. So in general, look for foods that have less number of ingredients. And a lot of people don't know this, but when you're looking at food labels, the ingredients that are listed first mean that those ingredients make up the largest quantity of the food. So if the first ingredient is sugar, Literally, sugar there's the most amount of sugar compared to all the other ingredients. So if you're buying something that is not sugar, like you're buying a pasta or you're buying a drink and the first ingredient is sugar, it's literally just a bunch of sugar with a little sprinkle of other stuff. Okay. So try to avoid that. Other things you can do to lessen your toxic load internally. Again, now we're talking about food. Lessen your sugar intake. Lessen your dairy intake. I have another video that I put up about dairy and why it's so inflammatory and why it's so difficult for the body to process. So check that video out if you want to know more about dairy. Okay, lessen your gluten intake. Gluten is wheat, the wheat molecule. And gluten is very inflammatory and very hard for the body to process because of the protein structures and, let's be honest, because of the glyphosate poisoning. So if you don't know anything about wheat and kind of grains in general, they put glyphosate, which is Roundup, on the fields when they're growing the wheat and the I can't think of words, when they're growing the wheat and the other grains. And if you're not buying organic and non-GMO, then likely there's glyphosate poisoning on the grains and the wheat. Okay, this can include oatmeal. This can include any kind of grain. Now, if you're buying organic and you're buying non-GMO, these are generally do not have glyphosate because organic farming has very strict guidelines about what they can and cannot put on the food while it's growing. But think about that, okay? Now, what else can you do to lessen toxic load? Eat less processed foods. So this means make your own stuff, make your own bread. Shop the perimeter at the grocery store. So if you think about the perimeter, it's produce, right? So instead of buying a bunch of boxed things or frozen things, try to buy fresh things and then make your own dishes. Again, buy organic when you can. And one of my top tips for I can't afford all organic things and trying to decide what to buy organic, there are 2 lists that are put out every year. One of them is called the Dirty Dozen and one is called the Clean 15. The Dirty Dozen is a list of the top 12 foods with the most pesticide burden on them. This is lab tested, and it's the top 12 foods that have the most amount of pesticides in them. So if it's on the Dirty Dozen, do not buy it unless it is organic. If it's on the Clean 15, the best option is still going to be to buy, everything organic. But if you can't afford that, this is an option. If it's on the Clean 15, maybe you can look at not buying those items organic because those are going to be the top 15 foods that have the least amount of pesticide exposure. Okay, further talk about internal toxic exposure. Again, these are my top tips for detoxification, lessening your toxic load. And if I didn't say this before, toxic load is important because every day, your liver specifically has to work to process the toxins in your body. We get toxins from the environment, we get toxins from food and things that we ingest, and we also get toxins from vaccines and heavy metals in vaccines, as well as heavy metals in water, and a lot of other things. But these are just an example of a few. When your toxic load, everyone has a cup, I like to say, when your cup starts to fill up, if it's not full, your body can process these toxins and you may not see poor health effects. As it starts to build up and fill up, and then your body can't keep up and it overflows, that's when you can see an overload of toxins. You can see things like headaches, chronic fatigue, joint pain, stomach issues, GI issues, allergies, anything basically that you're like, I'm just so tired, I can't sleep, I've got all these aches and pains. Any of this can be an overload of toxins, okay? So this is super important. All right, so sorry, off on that tangent, back to toxic load. I don't even remember what I was talking about specifically, but, internal toxins. So internal toxins can also look like yeast overload, bacterial overload, if it's the wrong kind of bacteria, gut infections. Ways that you can lessen this? Well, sugar. So sugar feeds yeast. So if you crave sugar all the time, you might have a yeast overgrowth. This is something you can get checked by a functional medicine provider. There's a lot of other info out there, about candida diets and how to basically starve the candida. One of the biggest things is sugar. Sugar feeds yeast. It also just feeds disease. So try to really lessen your sugar intake. And then as far as other gut infections, I commonly see this in practice. I see parasites, I see H. pylori, and other just harmful bacteria that can wreak havoc on the body. And when you have these infections, one, your immune system probably isn't going to be working at its peak capacity. And then two, you can have changes to the gut microbiome, which is going to give you a whole host of GI symptoms: constipation, diarrhea, stomach pain, cramping, etc. Again, this is something you can get tested by a functional medicine provider, but lessening your toxic load is going to help lessen the body's buildup and overflow where you see the symptoms and disease processes happen. Okay, so finishing up here, stick with me. I just have a few more things on toxic load, ways that you can help your body detoxify. So I'm going to make more videos about specific things like how to support the liver. But that's one of the biggest things is support the liver and have a healthy gut. So detoxifying, one of the easy things you can do to detoxify daily is to castor oil pack. If you don't know anything about this, you can easily Google it and find, how to make your own castor oil pack. But Queen of the Thrones also has a great kit that you can buy that has specific ones for thyroid, for the liver, for the pelvis. And basically, castor oil is super old medicine. It's natural anti-inflammatory. You want to get organic cold pressed oil, ideally in a glass bottle. Again, Queen of the Thrones sells this. I'm not an affiliate with them. I don't get kickback from this. I just like their products and I've used it for patients, and many people have found them to be useful and easy. Oil obviously will stain anything that comes into contact with, and using the Queen of the Thrones kits kind of mitigates a lot of that because they give you this special cloth that's kind of waterproof on one side and then has a cloth on the other side. But basically you put a bunch of castor oil on a homemade pack or on a pack from Queen of the Thrones. You put that over your liver, which is going to be on the right upper side of your abdomen. And then you leave that on for at least 60 minutes to maybe overnight. This is just really going to upregulate the liver and help the liver to detoxify you from your environment. Another thing you can do to support detox is to make sure that you're having daily bowel movements. So your bowel movement is basically you taking out the trash. Again, let's think about toxic overload. Even if you're, trying the best you can to eat healthy and not ingest toxins and everything, you're still going to have a build up over time of toxins from the environment, still probably from some food when you eat out or when you not following that really great diet all the time, because let's be honest, who can be perfect 100% of the time? And as these toxins build up, if you don't get them out, then they're just going to circulate in the body. Okay. So pooping every single day, I don't care who has told you, even if it was a doctor or provider, if they've told you that it's okay not to poop every single day, this is absolutely not true. You have to poop every single day in order to detoxify your body. Castor oil packing can help this, as well as being hydrated, as well as, using magnesium sometimes. Again, don't use any supplements or start anything new without talking to your medical provider. But this is just, some ideas that I'm giving people that I know have worked for me and for other people. Other ways to support detox, you can use a sauna. So sweating is one way that you detox. So supporting sweating, using a sauna a couple times a week to induce sweat can help you detoxify. Okay. You can also use Epsom salt baths or foot baths to, again, kind of help sweat and help excrete things through the skin. Okay, so this concludes my video for today on detoxification and how to lessen your toxic load, as well as support detoxification. Stay tuned and subscribe to me, because tomorrow I'm going to put out another video regarding detoxification. This one is going to be on supporting detoxification through the liver. So if you like this video and you want to know more, I want you to make sure to subscribe and like my channel. Like this video, comment on things you want to hear more about, and I'll be sure to include that in future videos. And I will put out my video tomorrow on liver and how to support the liver, signs that you may have issues with your liver or that your liver may need more support. And it will be awesome, something you don't want to miss. These are top secrets. I'm, again, a functional medicine provider, pediatrics specifically, but I have a lot of experience with, my own family and friends and family for adult-wise, so this can really help anyone. And I do not want you to miss out. I believe that God gave us a body that is supposed to function fully, supposed to heal, and you're supposed to feel good with. So follow me for more tips, and I'm going to put out my video on liver tomorrow.